Alright, I'll pick up where I left off, and I'll try to sound less nasally, because I just listened to the video I just recorded, and wow, do I have a fucking annoying voice. Okay, so I was just going through a couple of props, and I will look at just a couple more to give you a quick idea of kind of how I went about doing these unwraps. So I'm going to select this main wall section. You see me making it transparent. Just isolate it. Not a whole lot to this either. Modeling is fairly simple. You see, you've just got like a wall section and some bevels and some chamfered edges and shit like that. Nothing extraordinary by any means. And I can show you how I use the texture on here. I mean, I don't think I even really need to open up the UV window anymore at this point to show you exactly. So I won't. You can see the pipes are laid out on that one strip. It's just a long repeating kind of brass-colored strip. I've used that exact same section to unwrap portions around the windows and stuff like that. And you can see very clearly after seeing the texture how it's laid out on these back walls, etc. Near the floorboards, I got these little latch things. You might say, well, why are little latches on the ground? I can make up any reason for that. I can say, well, there's electrical conduits running under there, and this gives maintenance access to it. Whatever, who gives a shit? Yeah. Oh, little extra details, little ways to make that stuff cool. There's that cool little greebly sci-fi section of the texture. You know what I'm talking about. This section here. Like, this has little glowing lights in it. And in the render you can see it. Here, I'll just pull it up. You can see where I've been using it, like through here, these little areas down here, and heavily down here. But it's peeking out little dots of light through there as well. That's the part we're looking at right now. So it gives it a kind of a cool look. You see, it's just that this is just the piece right here, the background piece behind the pipes. So, just a little visual interest back there. You can sneak that little greebly, cool-looking stuff in wherever you want. And most of this other stuff, like these forms really aren't unwrapped very well, and they really don't make a lot of sense, but speed is important. You want to get these things done fast. I don't like to spend like 3 months on an environment like I used to in college. It's just, there's no time for it. You got to move faster than that. And to be perfectly honest, sometimes you got to sacrifice quality for speed. Not always the case. Depends where you work and what kind of work you're doing, what your boss is like, how involved your art director is, how picky he is or isn't. In my case, I work on an MMO, and we work at a very high rate of speed, so we got to get shit out quick and dirty and get those updates going. I've seen some other artists at other local studios that work on really high-budget AAA titles and actually do it in the exact same way we do, but they just have higher budgets, etc. Anyway, okay, let's get back and look at some other things real quick. Even like these little railings here. See, I'm having a hard time selecting stuff. Yeah, everything's getting all janky. I don't know why. So I'm stupid at computers. Jesus Christ, you see that? Madness. There. Did I get what I wanted? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so here is here's the big ground piece, and like as soon as I isolate it, it's pretty easy to tell what it is, Let's turn this off. So, you can see plain as day exactly how I unwrapped it onto that texture. This is the main little paneled section, this little greeble section, and you might be like, well, you might say, Adam, look at this like kind of hard edge right here. That looks kind of sucky, and I agree. Maybe I'll fix that. It might look better to have one of these nice hard lines here, like on the edge of this here, around this lip, so it'll make more sense and have a nicer transition of materials. But you can this looks really amateur. Yeah, I know. Fuck off. 'Cause when you turn the lights down and you're running through it 50 miles an hour, you're not even fucking looking at it, and it looks good enough. And sometimes that's just the philosophy you have to roll with. Down here is like kind of the tram area, and this is pretty cool looking, especially in the render, you know? Like all this little greebly shit down here in the bottom left corner. That looks believable. You might, I mean, in a way you say, yeah, I can see how, you know, a tram could, you know, be hooked up to those little technology-looking little bits down there, and maybe they have some kind of magnetic force that just propels the train along like a rail gun and doesn't actually have any connectivity. That's kind of what I was thinking about it anyway. But it's got a neat look, and you know the lights really sell it. And there's no real special stuff happening here as far as modeling goes. These are fucking boxes. You know, that's just how things in the real world are constructed. I mean, look at any object in your room right now. I guarantee like 90% of the things in there are made at some basic level out of a box or a sphere or a cylinder or some other primitive shape. I mean, you could build an entire car engine out of essentially primitive shapes. Well, maybe the more modern ones are getting a little crazier now, but anyway, you get the point. Things in this world really aren't that complicated, so when you're building an environment at a high rate of speed, you can fudge a lot of really quick and cool modeling by using really simple shapes. I mean, like when you look really close, you can see how imperfect this is. This is just kind of jammed in there. And in a perfect world where I had months and months to model, which I do in this case, but I like to treat my home projects as if I'm on a schedule, just to keep my work quick. Then I'm just going to stick it in there. But you know, otherwise I'd build out a little more kind of interesting shape where it would transition nicely into another piece. God, my art director would kill me if he heard me say some of this shit right now. But anyway, but you know, you look real quick here. You glance at this scene, you're not like eyeballing real hard for anything, and you know it looks like it works in that bottom corner there. So yeah, let's look at maybe a couple other little pieces here real quick. I haven't unwrapped these cool looking stanchion things down here at the bottom yet, so I just slapped a tileable on them. I'll get to those later. But even like this handrail, which is, you know, you might be like, oh god, this is gonna be a bitch to do, but really that uses the same texture. And here, I'll just grab this, you know, these pieces here, and show you an unwrap of those. I mean, look, that's it, man. Fucking piece of cake. I really abused this section, this copper section on these ones, especially right here, you know. Like, these are kind of these long strip pieces here. They have so much more dimension because of the way this texture was built. It's just a strip of copper brassy looking stuff in the middle, and there's a little bit of greebly gray on both sides. But the normal map dips down a little bit there, and you know, you have some dimension now on the outside of that little surface. And again, none of this is planned. This is just kind of how the texture has been doing a lot of work for me. You know, and you can see I've got the bolts and stuff along this side, and you know, it looks kind of like a believable industrial little piece of work here. When you zoom in on what exactly you're looking at there, just that's the whole trim around the bottom of that, and the texture just has some bolts on it. It just happens to work nice and easy like that, easy sleazy. And yeah, each piece is no different. And again, the modeling very simple shapes, but you know, our world's made of simple shapes. That's just kind of how it is. Let me see if I can find anything else that I'd like to show you before I end this video. Yeah, you know, yeah, even these lights are just, you know, a couple of tubes and some simple box modeling. But you know, you throw a little bit of glow effect on them in your render, and these don't even have a texture on them yet, and they really look alive and believable and cool. I'm gonna texture them. I don't know exactly how, but you know, I will do it. It may not even look any different, for Christ's sake. I would have had some more to show you. I jumped into this scene the other day. I haven't touched it in a month, and I realized that I did about 5.5 hours of work that I never pressed save for, and a huge chunk of that was unwrapping this ugly fucker. So now I gotta start from scratch on this stupid piece of shit. But it looked really cool, man, and I'm really bummed that I gotta redo it, because there's so many tiny shapes, and it just sucked. But yeah, you know, like out of that one texture, I've got, you know, massive wall stanchions, entire sections of wall, a tram painted out of it. My doorways are going to use it. And that's 1024 by 1024, a single texture. I'm just getting tons of fucking real estate out of it. Oh, not to mention these little ceiling bits. Yeah, these little guys. Mapped entirely with the same texture as well. I love these things too. You know, they're very simple, but when you look up, they just add all sorts of additional depth into the ceiling. I mean, look how much... here, I can maybe go look at some previous versions that didn't have those in there. Where did I add those? This? No, they're in there. They're not textured yet, but yeah, like this stuff. I mean, look at the ceiling here. Of course, this is a while ago and the lighting was different, but it just, you know, it's bland, it's blah, it doesn't have anything to look at. Then you can throw up a tileable texture on them and add some cool light. I mean, it really just helps out the ceiling quite a bit. So I'll end this video again right here, and I don't know, maybe I'll make another one if I can think of any other cool stuff that I'd like to share with you, or if you can think of anything you'd like to see me do or ask me, I can hook you up. Alright, that was fun.